Shall we begin?
You are now listening to an altogether less fashionable variety of soccer podcast. Broadcasting live from the capital city of Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to
ACES Radio.
I got the new wings with the Zima flavor sauce.
I've given this no thought whatsoever.
Hashtag probably riding cock.
They're in your face. They're a little different. I think it's super cool. I love them. Jamie, ignorant slut.
Hold on to your butts.
Now, here are your hosts,
Not Morgan Hughes. Rest.
John Zadar and Darby Snarpus.
Greetings, edgelords, shitlords, and bezlords. You're listening to yet another episode of ACES Radio, the podcast that is eating mashed potatoes and gravy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Not because of Thanksgiving, just because that's how we roll.
It has a similar consistency to poop, Darby, so it comforts me.
That is true. Hashtag best friends mashed potato poop lunch. Yeah. So anyway, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. If you celebrate, or if you're Canadian, happy Thursday. Well, it's actually Friday. We went ahead and took the holiday off to not record the Garbage Podcast. And so instead we're doing a Friday show with plenty of things to talk about. But instead we're going to talk about mashed potatoes and poop. So Brent, how you doing, buddy? How was your holiday? Anything exciting happen? How many people in your family have COVID because you just spread it to them right now?
I don't think anybody has it. I hope not anyway. No, it's been a good week. I've actually really enjoyed watching pretty much every playoff game that's been on. It's kind of refreshing to actually enjoy watching MLS games that are not crew games, so that's been nice. Yeah, for sure. There's been a ton of playoff games, and the way they're staggered and available on TV has meant I watched more non-crew games in the past week than in the entire season. John, how about you? How was your holiday? You were doing like a bonfire the other night, right?
Yeah, and then yesterday we did like a little meal with my girlfriend, and I and her son, and actually her ex. So, because that's our bubble. So,
so you did Thanksgiving with her ex? Was that? I mean, not to get too nosy, but like, was that weird at all?
No, it's fine. We've been together and met multiple times, and it's cool, and they're like amicable and everything, so it was fine. It was a situation where like he wasn't going to his family, and we obviously, Sarah and I obviously wanted to like do something together, and ideally like we wanted to have her son join us, but then we also didn't want to like leave him by himself. Felt bad, and since everybody gets along, we figured like why the heck not? So went and she cooked a bunch of stuff at her house. I cooked a bunch of stuff at my house, and then I took it over there and we ate together. And then I went and visited my mom for a bit on her back porch afterwards because Sarah had to go to work. So, but it was a nice day. It was fine. It was as unconventional as you could possibly get, but it worked out. It was certainly better than doing nothing. So,
sure. Well, and hats off to you to open your home and your meal to somebody who didn't have options. I know a lot of people are dealing with that right now. So hopefully everybody out there has been safe, but has been able to celebrate the best they're able. Kristen and I just did the two of us yesterday and did a turkey and mashed potatoes and green bean casserole. And the most traditional of Thanksgiving desserts, a key lime pie, which was fantastic. One of my favorite desserts, and Kristen does a really good job making it. So yeah, we watched all the Thanksgiving classics. We started off with the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special, which we both realized this year, like nothing happens in that thing.
No, it's the least like relevant of the holiday Charlie Brown special.
Yeah, like there's no actual plot to it at all, other than people being shitty to Charlie Brown. And then we did other things like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the How I Met Your Mother Slapsgiving episode. You know, all those bright, cheerful, uplifting. Oh, we also did The Simpsons, like from a season 2 episode. So digging way back in the archives.
Wow.
Okay, but did you watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
We did not.
Is that a Thanksgiving film?
Brent, that
It
movie,
is.
you weren't alive when that movie was
I've
made.
never seen that movie.
I am
so I don't know
aware,
anything
Darby.
about it.
Steve Martin is trying to get home to his family for
It's
Thanksgiving.
Steve Martin film. Steve Martin is
Steve
terrible,
Martin and
so-
John Candy.
See, John,
I know what movie that you're talking about. I like John Candy. I do not like Steve Martin.
it's a movie in which there are
you might
planes.
be able to get through this because Steve Martin is kind of a douche during the movie and makes himself out to kind of be a bad guy. Not that there's like a traditional good guy, bad guy type role, but he's
Yeah.
just a jerk.
He's kind of the dickhead.
That's a different movie, Brent. It's called The Jerk.
Also a good movie.
I think Steve Martin, like The Man, seems very nice. I've just never been a fan of his type of comedy.
Well,
Hey,
I mean-
real quick, I saw you said something on Twitter yesterday about your Witch's Brew.
yes.
What is that?
Witch's Brew is a wine from your personal favorite state, the state of Michigan. It is a red wine that has
Actually,
Mullen-
Darby, he's more of a New York Yankees boy.
Well, he is, but he's a college Michigan fuckboy as well.
Brent just sucks in so many different ways.
Yeah, universally for sure. But yeah, it's a red wine that has mulling spices already in it. So basically, you can just kind of warm it up on the stove, and it's this delicious.
That sounds good.
Warm, yeah. So Giant Eagle carries it. Gentiles in Grandview can order it through their distributor, which is what we did. We got a half dozen bottles so we can kind of stock up. Yeah, it's like $8, and it's really good. So like on any night you want a warm, cozy drink, I do highly recommend it.
Yeah, Sarah got some apple cider and then added some actual fruit to it and warmed it on the stove, and we added some bourbon, so we had that as our little after-dinner beverage. It was very tasty.
Yeah, I mean the holidays always say this is the time to drink, and so even being alone, it's important to honor the traditions of getting drunk on Thanksgiving. And maybe you had to yell at your family virtually, like maybe you just shouted at their stupid Facebook posts or something, but you got to carry on those traditions.
Oh, man.
Now I have to know, what kind of bourbon did you use?
I have no idea. I wasn't responsible for producing the drink.
It was the brown kind, I believe.
Yeah, it was brown. That's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we talk about some soccer or whatever, I guess, for a couple minutes? Yeah, let's do that. So good
All right,
news.
but a couple of minutes is all you're getting.
Couple of minutes, that's fine. We can bust through this with a quickness. So good news. The Crew won their playoff game, their first round playoff game against Red Bull New York Red Bull by a
Suck
score
it,
of,
Sean.
Well, save
Why
it
are
for
you telling
later.
me to suck it?
Because you predicted a loss.
I didn't want them to lose. I just and they certainly tried to there at the end.
Save it for the show, John. Oh wait, never mind. We're in the show.
The show grabs.
Yeah. So 3-2 Crew win. Let's start off just kind of generally here. So Caleb Porter, and I'm paraphrasing here, basically said this was one of the best games the team played, despite the score line, and that perhaps the result wasn't as close as the final score indicated. Generally speaking, Brent, what were your thoughts and perceptions on the game? Talk about anything you want, as long as it's not Yankees baseball.
All right, we're waiting on the Yankees to re-sign DJ LeMahieu. You said not Yankees
Not
baseball?
Yankees.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Right, if we wanted to eat poop, we'd just get together and do it. Okay, we don't need to hear about the poop.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was a good game for most of the game. Save for maybe the last 10, 15 minutes when the team looked like they were kind of in panic mode despite having a 2-goal lead. But I don't know that I would say it's one of the best games that the team has played. I think this is the second or third time Caleb has tried to use this line in the last, month and a half.
Yeah, didn't he just say that the other day?
Yeah, his two
It
favorite
wasn't that
lines
long ago.
are basically, this was the best game we played, and that player is going to be out for a week or two. That's all he says.
Don't forget about Harry.
Yep.
But I can't get behind that statement. I don't think it was one of the best games. It was definitely an improvement over some of the slop that we've seen in recent months, but I'm not saying it was one of the best.
That's totally fair. John, what were your impressions? I know you were, unfortunately, you have to be a work with the public boy, so you didn't necessarily get to catch it all live. But generally speaking, what do you think about the game that took place?
Yeah, my new pandemic responsibilities of paying bills continue to have me missing games.
Fucking bills.
I watched the highlights, and it looked like we won the game. I'm surprised to hear him say that he again thought this was the best game we played, because based on what I saw in the highlights and the stats that I looked at, like, it seemed like it was a pretty average game. We won, which was great, but we barely won. The stats do not tell a story of it being a dominant, textbook style perfect game from the crew. So not really sure, as usual, what the hell Caleb Porter's talking about. But yeah.
Yeah, a game that, looks, both teams took a lot of shots. The crew did a good job for a change in getting shots on target. 11 of 17 shots were on target, which is a pretty high ratio, honestly. But yeah, lost the possession battle, 68% passing accuracy, which is, for this team, kind of abysmal. But, a win's a win. They got 3 goals, one of which was Pedro falling down in the box. I know everybody wanted to at me on Twitter about that, but please recognize that he missed a perfectly good pass from Lucas that probably would have made the PK unnecessary. But whatever, he scored a slow rolling shot into the corner on his PK, so it was a goal. Nagbe.
Yeah, I have no idea how that didn't get saved.
Fuck, dude.
Let's
talk
about that for a second. That was one of the slowest shots I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's one of the worst penalties I think I've ever seen anyone take.
It was good. It was good placement because he put it just inside the post, but I'm amazed it didn't get stopped.
Yeah, it was about as bad as some of those San Jose PKs. It was awful.
Yeah, save it for the next segment, Brent. Nagbe had a great goal again. Jossie had a bizarre ass header that I assumed was going over the bar and then just looped into the far corner. Harrison Awful got another assist for New York Red Bull. He continues to be really good at feeding them the ball in prime shooting spots. It was a good enough game. Maybe even above average for the crew. And like I said, I'm not going to be mad about 17 shots and most being on target. Weirdly, only one substitute.
I feel like you can be a little bit mad at 17 shots and only 2 goals, right? Because I'm not counting the penalty kick in that.
Sure. But I can be mad about a lot of things, John. I don't know if you know this about me.
That's fair. You are an angry old man. Yeah.
Jossie did have one shot that nearly went out for a throw-in, if you want to nitpick. But, things happen. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I will say, I never really felt scared of losing this game, even late when they were in panic mode. It did feel, despite what the stats might show, that we were the better team on the field. It wasn't as close as what it kind of seems like after the fact.
Yeah, my biggest concern would definitely be the passing accuracy in this game. I mean, if you look at Awful's pass map
good,
for
Bob.
this game, it's red everywhere. And it's not like it was just him. Unless you look at somebody like, of course, Darlington Nagbe, who only missed 2 passes all game. Pretty much everybody has a lot of red on their maps. They were clearly not taking high percentage passes in this game. But yeah, the Crew do win in advance. You can't be mad about that. They used only 1 sub in the 81st minute when Diaz came on, but everybody has a week to rest basically, and it was good enough. So I'm content with the result. I am very happy that there were 3 goals for the Crew's side, because there's been times, especially recently, where getting consistent scoring and getting goals from the run of play has been a challenge, and they at least got that one. And MLS playoffs, you survive in advance, because as we'll talk about in a minute, there is some crazy ass shit going on in the playoffs, and nothing is a given. Any other thoughts on the Crew's performance?
I've got nothing else to add.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
I'd just say I think it's still curious that Awful keeps getting to start, but
yeah. Oh, well, you're in the playoffs though now, and maybe you go consistency in your lineups and hope he works his shit out. But we'll see.
Consistently bad.
Yeah. So that does mean the Crew will be playing Sunday, which would be 2 days from now at 8 p.m. at home. Because in all of the craziness and bullshittery of the other games, the team that we probably most likely expected to see, Toronto FC, is out of the playoffs. So I'm just going to kind of run through all of the ridiculous results that have already happened in the playoffs so far. Both of the play-in games had just wild stuff going on. So New England and Montreal was basically decided at the death, like the last minute. New England pulled ahead and won their game. Orlando had that. If you haven't seen the Orlando ridiculousness, you should go check that out, because they went to penalty kicks, and then there was a second yellow for Orlando's goalkeeper. They were not allowed to sub in a keeper, even though they tried to. And so you had an outfield player who made a save, which allowed them to move forward. Wondolowski was doing Wando things in their opening game, basically scored at the end of that game to force overtime. But then they ran into the brick wall that is Tim Melia, who stopped.
Nope.
What?
That's not a fair description.
Well, okay, he cheated.
Those San Jose penalty kicks were awful.
I mean, they weren't great, but he did stop all 3. He went the right direction 3 times. And even though he was off his line, he did stop him. So it was fun as hell to watch. Dallas advanced going in the sudden death PKs. They went through all 5. Nashville beat TFC in overtime, so they knocked the number 2 seed in the East out. New England in their next game beat the number 1 seed and Supporter Shield winners Philadelphia Union. Sorry, Dupe. Basically, at this point, it's pretty much small market teams left. Dallas is the biggest city still in the deal, the number 5 media market, if you're interested in those sort of things. But no New York teams, no LA teams, of course no Chicago, because no. So kind of a wild playoffs. So Brent, you've been watching most of the games. What have you enjoyed most, or what was most notable for you of all of the craziness?
I think just the sheer number of games that ended up going to penalty kicks. I mean, we already talked about Orlando. We talked about Kansas City and San Jose. The Portland game went to penalty kicks. I mean, it seems like every game is being decided late. There haven't been that many lopsided affairs. Mm-hmm. So it's just been really entertaining. I will also point out that with all of the crazy results that we just talked about, there is now only one team that can force the Columbus Crew to go on the road in the MLS playoffs, and that would be Sporting Kansas City if we were to make it to the Cup.
Yeah, Sport!
John is excited about that. Of course, it's one game at a time, but that's definitely something that people are already looking at, especially with this Crew team that has only lost one time at home and is utter trash on the road. So that you can't overstate how important that is. Of course, that being said, Nashville is out here just doing absolute wild stuff and making things happen. So nothing is a given at this point. I think obviously every team in the playoff is a threat. But Nashville has shown they have what it takes. Orlando is crazy offensive. New England is super good on the road. So there's a lot more fun stuff to come, I think. John, do you have any other thoughts other than, if your raging erection for Sporting isn't enough, do you have any other thoughts?
No, despite having a, less than ideal end to the season, I think that the Crew have to be one of the top teams left in contention. I think it's pretty balanced now. I think it's exactly what you would think if you looked at the seeding. I think it's obviously Kansas and Seattle on the west side and us and Orlando on the east side. So, but New England and Nashville both played exciting soccer. So I think that at least as of recently. So, I think all four of the remaining games are exciting to me. I didn't get to watch the Crew game, but I did get to watch a lot of the other games. And I think Minnesota has a decent chance. Their offense is incredible. New England was pretty impressive. Dallas, put in a good shift to take out that Portland team. I think all these games are going to be great. I think it's, like it kind of always is in the playoffs. I think it's pretty much anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, anywhere you look, any matchup has an interesting storyline for Columbus. Nashville is I think they're the first expansion team to get into the playoffs and advance in their inaugural season. Orlando has their rage boner against us and the rivalry they wanted to make. New England's more of sort of like an old school rivalry. I still have bitterness from them just trouncing us out of the playoffs was that 2014? The one year that they absolutely embarrassed the shit out of us.
Yeah, it was was that Greg's first year or his second
I think
year?
so. Yeah, I think it was his first year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sporting is the only team that could make us play on the road. Minnesota has the Kai Kamara and Ethan Finley connection.
Big Celery. Hello.
Not a lot of connection happening there. They won that game 3-0, and Kai factored in none of the goals and only comes off the bench. He's not a starter.
All the truest lads are rooting for Ethan Finley, Kai Kamara, and Big Celery to come back to Mafre for MLS Cup.
No, nobody's.
That's the storyline everybody wants.
Yeah. They're welcome to come and sit in the stands if they're allowed and watch MLS Cup. There's also the hashtag Fuck Seattle angle, which is always something fun. I guess Dallas is the team in the West I'm least interested in seeing, but that's also a 6 seed. If they run the table, then that's kind of a fun story too. So the
Plus
bottom
they're
line
owned
is,
by the Hunts, so there's that.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we have the Lamar Hunt battle there. Yeah, so basically, if you don't like MLS playoffs, you're stupid and dumb, and how dare you? Yeah, it's fun shit, and it's going to be fun shit for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
All right. Also, stuff that came up since the last time we talked. A couple of regular season honors coming to crew players. Mensah made the best 11 for the league. He was the first crew defender since 2015 to receive that honor. And they also swept the goal of the year and save of the year competitions. Nagby got goal of the year for his ridiculous blasted volley against Chicago, and Room got save of the year for his double save against Orlando. Clearly, the best and greatest team that the world has ever seen is finally getting recognized. Any thoughts on any of the awards?
Was Lucas's newcomer of the year announced before the last show? Did we already talk about that?
I'm not sure if it was or not, but yes, Lucas did win newcomer of the year in the league. So also awesome. Were there any other awards that I missed?
That I'm aware of.
Yeah. So yeah, it's nice that those recognitions are coming from a variety of areas then. I mean, you've got a goalkeeper, a defender, an attacking player, and a midfielder all getting some sort of recognition for the crew, which you like to see because normally the league just fucking ignores us. And, things like goal of the year and save of the year always wind up being such stupid fanboy competitions where the assholes from Atlanta will just spam the votes to try and push their people up. So it seems like, I don't know if the league figured out how to keep that from happening or just the fact that, Atlanta sucks this year kind of helps our cause. But
well, these aren't total fan votes, so that helps.
Yeah, it's
fan vote is only a quarter of it, so
yeah,
that's
it's fan
nice.
And club and media, right?
Yeah, fan, club, media. I feel like there was a fourth category. I might be wrong. I don't know what it would be.
Won't
though.
the players also get a vote?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah,
maybe the fans don't get a vote at all. Shit, I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure it's fan. Then each club gets to vote, and then the players individually also vote, and then media gets a vote. That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's it is gratifying to see those sorts of things. And Pedro did not win the falling down of the year competition, which I think, frankly, he was robbed in that context. He also did not win most overrated or most irrational fanboys of the year. Brent, what kind of snub is that for Pedro Santos?
I don't know why you're asking me. This question should be directed at John.
John, same question.
Well, I mean, Bront, you're the Pedro Santos fuckboy, so.
Brent, same question.
Oh, that's what you're going for? Let's call up Coda Store and Todd Fichtenbarger.
I like Fichtenbarger.
Yeah,
Is that?
me too.
That's a good one. Yeah, we're going to hold on to
Well,
that.
Brent, just because there are other fuckboys does not mean that you are not one.
I think it does mean that, actually.
No,
Wait,
it doesn't.
What are you saying is the limit on the number of fuckboys per player or team?
Well, first of all, I think you would have to actually like that player for that to be a thing that could be said about you.
I mean, you were one of the people who tagged me on Twitter when he did his stupid crap.
No,
but
Darby, that's just because I like to piss you off.
Right. You did also acknowledge that he totally missed that pass from Lucas. And
yes, because I'm a realist.
You are. And that's what I like. That's literally the only thing I like about you, Brent. So congratulations. Speaking of Pedro, though, lads, as another thing that came up on the Twitters this week, Tim Bezbatchenko, former TFC architect, former league TAM GAM specialist, current awesome guy building things for the crew, said that Pedro will be back next season and he won't be out of contract.
Right, suck it, Darby. Suck it.
Okay, fanboy, simmer down. And also indicated that the Crew would have the flexibility to open up 2 DP spots. So currently, as recently as we're aware of, the Crew DP spots were Pedro and Lucas and Valenzuela as a young DP, which implies that at least 2 of those.
Giassi's a DP.
Was he an actual DP? I can't.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yeah, so there's definitely an indication that some of those are going to be bought down. I'm assuming it's not Lucas because his cap hit from his transfer fee, I think, is going to be too difficult for them to try and buy down.
Yeah, I think they said Lucas was the one that they could not.
Yeah.
It would not be happening.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jossie is the 3rd DP. So they must. I think they either Valenzuela as a young DP doesn't count, or they already reworked his contract.
The young DPs don't count towards the DP cap.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, so Pedro's going to be back, as terrible news that makes me want to die. But if they reworked his stuff, then that means, maybe they can sign a DP that starts in his position, and he can be a bench guy like he deserves to be.
He's obviously coming back as the water boy, Darby.
That's true. I mean, the problem, though, is what's going to happen when he trips every time he steps on the field and the water spills everywhere?
Well, they're in bottles, so there's a lid on them, Darby. We've thought this through.
Well, what if when he spins around on the ground, the caps come undone and all the water spills out?
Well, the players have been informed that the grass will be watered, but they have been told that if they feel the need to, they're allowed to kick him while he's down there.
Oh, in that case, I fully support him coming back. I very much like this. I am fully on board. Pedro can stay forever as long as other players are allowed to kick him. And yeah, but seriously, are you pleased by this? Are you satisfied by this? Do you not give a shit about this? Where are your heads on Pedro definitely being back next season?
I mean, he has contributed, I think. I mean, I haven't looked this up, but I would imagine he's contributed more this season than probably any other season that he's been here. I still don't necessarily think that I'm very ecstatic with what that contribution has amounted to. I mean, it does put him second on the team for goals and first for assists, but it's only 6 goals, 8 assists, which I don't think is incredibly remarkable in either category. So I do think that I expect better from the starter in that position, especially when it's going to be someone that we're paying the amount of money that we've been paying Pedro. So, I mean, if he can continue to improve and build upon that and exceed those numbers again next year, then great, I guess. But we've seen a lot more bad Pedro than we have good Pedro, and I'm just worried that Pedro is the one that shows up more often. So I don't know. We'll see. Like you said, maybe we sign a DP who challenges for this winger spot. I don't know.
Yeah. Brent, what do you think, given the current roster, where do you think another DP would even slot in? Since Jossie is currently one, Lucas is currently one, your 2 sort of central attackers. If Pedro's coming back, I mean, that doesn't leave that many options. You don't normally use DP spots on like center backs necessarily, especially in MLS. What do you think, Brent?
I see really only 2 options, and that's either a new winger or a new outside back. I mean, those are the only 2 areas on the field where I think you need increase in. I don't know if talent level is the right word, but production. You need just an increase in the level of play. Those are our weakest areas, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, we're kind of getting to the point where you look at the roster and, maybe that the DP to push Harry, but if they're committed to Diaz and or Etienne, say, for example, I'm not sure if you want to bring in a high-priced 100% starter on that side if you're trying to develop the other guys. It's just interesting to me. I'm not sure. I feel like Artur and Nagby both have spots locked down. I guess they could move Artur, but again, a defensive midfielder, DP, I don't see happening. So it'll be interesting to see at such time as they're looking what happens there. Yeah.
I get this. I would be curious to know if center back is potentially a position of interest for one of those DP slots, because we've got obviously Josh Williams and Bubakeda and Jonathan Mensah as the three guys that we feel comfortable playing. But Josh is in his early 30s. Mensah is now 30. And obviously Bubakeda has shown that he's still got some growing to do and some evolution in his game, and you don't want to completely remove him from the field. But, if this is a team and a club that wants to win a championship, especially like really maybe potentially try to win a championship in their brand new stadium next season, I could see them forgoing developing youth in the short term for the chance to win a championship in a year that's going to be already really special to the club. So I don't think that Vito Wormgoor will come back. He's also a guy who's in his early 30s, and he just had a major injury. And barring contract requirements, I could see us even maybe just buying it out and saying, hey, thanks for your coming here and all that, but we just don't think that we have a place for someone of your age who's coming off such a severe injury.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we saw very little of him. I liked what I saw when he played, but that's just such a tiny, tiny amount. Yeah, like I said, you don't normally see DP center backs in MLS, but that doesn't mean you can't. And you're right. That's a good point. If you want to have a sexy, competitive, potentially championship winning team, your first season in the stadium, you need somebody you can plug in right away. And center back is a place that you can probably plug in instantly better than most positions. The sort of learning curve and comfort level, I think, is less than in a lot of positions, because you're basically just back there clearing things out. There's not as much movement. There's not as much complicated passing going on. So I could see it. But, first we're going to win MLS Cup this year. So we'll save next year for next year. Unfortunately, though, for this game on Sunday, it also came out this week that 4 crew players tested positive for COVID, which I don't know if you're familiar with this illness that's been going around, guys, but apparently it's pretty contagious and it's not great. We're not going to have any updates until the press conference tomorrow, which would be Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Players have to have 2 negative tests in order to be eligible to play. We have no idea who the players are at this point. And even the rapid response tests that they do, I think, still take 12 hours to get the results back for. So 4 unknown players may or may not be playing on Sunday. Obviously you don't wish COVID on anybody in this context, but I think we all kind of hope that maybe it's less essential players. Like maybe it's running through the bench rather than the starting lineup. But regardless, this really complicates things. It is theoretically possible. The league has said if you can't reschedule a game and you're unable to play because of COVID, you could wind up having to forfeit, and that would suck in the playoffs. I guess if they just keep all those players isolated, you can put together your best possible starting lineup. But how much of a concern is this for you guys?
I've thought about this since the announcement, and I'm fairly concerned just because if I've learned anything over the years, it's that while the rosters and everyone seems to, for the most part, get along and be friends and whatnot, it seems to become very cliquey, especially when you have segments of the roster that are more culturally similar. And so, like, it seems like the Ghanaian guys tend to hang out and spend a lot of time together, and the Spanish speaking crowd spends a lot of time together. And so if it's kind of one of those situations where it's kind of decimated one of those groups, that could be potentially like pretty impactful. I mean, if we're thinking like that the Ghanaian contingent of crew players got this, we're talking about potentially losing 2 starters.
And 3 defenders total. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And then, if we're talking about, the Spanish language guys who might be hanging out, especially like the younger ones, Valenzuela and Lucas and, people like that, that could be pretty devastating as well. So I think it just really is going to come down to finding out who it is. I am definitely very nervous. I'm curious how it got into the team. I haven't heard anything about it being a result of the game against Red Bulls. I haven't heard anything about them like testing their players. I obviously know everybody is, but has anybody heard anything about Red Bulls having any positives?
I mean, I don't know. Since they're out of the playoffs, they may not have any obligations. Well, I mean, like, I would hope they're still testing their players, but they probably don't have any obligation to report it.
Yeah, it just seems like, given that we just played them, I would assume they're definitely testing. If only out of concern for the fact that they just played us and we've got multiple positives. But, maybe it's like you said, Darby, and if it was on the bench and it was all guys who didn't play, maybe they're not super concerned because they didn't really interact with those players. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think you can be overly cautious in these situations.
Yeah. Best case scenario, it's Fernando Adi, Gunendo Adi, Hanendo Adi, and Manendo Adi are the 4 players who tested positive. But yeah, this is one of those things that kills me because, like, I always see Caleb Porter on the sidelines not wearing a fucking mask anymore. Like, all the training staff are still wearing masks, but Caleb Porter's just there shouting and spraying, and I fucking hate it. And I wish that he would make more of an effort because this stuff can spread really quickly. And we don't want any players to get sick. I mentioned earlier on Twitter today, like, Matt Lamson is immunocompromised because of, having had cancer. Like, you could, apart from the fact that it impacts the game that we all love to watch, it's all still human beings, and potentially somebody's career can be harmed by this. We've seen stories about athletes who wind up with heart damage or they have lung issues for months as a result of an infection. So it's kind of scary for the long-term prospects and not just the game on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully everybody who has it comes out of it without any lasting damage or without really getting too sick, but it's definitely concerning. I don't anticipate it'll lead to us having to forfeit, but we may not be fielding a roster that is, the exact starting roster you'd hope to be seeing in a conference semifinal game.
Yeah. I think the message here is that, Brent, you need to get your ass over to the training facility and lick all of their masks clean as soon as possible. Maybe bring some sanitized buckets as well. Can you do that for us?
If they were wearing N95s, I could, but the masks that they're wearing are not able to be licked clean.
Well, can you lick some N95s and deliver them, please? Don't be so selfish. Jesus.
Well, as John told us the last time we did a show, the N95s don't really work super well for wearing during long periods of time. They get wet from people's sweat, and it wouldn't work out well for them, so it's not really an option.
Yeah, you don't want to combine moisture in an N95 mask. Let me tell you that right now.
You heard it from the wet boy first, ladies and gentlemen.
That said, I will say that Caleb Porter has basically no fucking excuse not to be wearing the cloth mask at all times. There's not an issue with breathing or communication with those masks on. I wear them for 10 hours a day, almost every day at work. And I'm talking to people in a loud bar. I'm running around carrying dishes up and down the stairs to our dish tank, which is so intelligently placed in the basement. So like, it's not impacting your breathing. It's not impacting your ability to communicate. He just obviously doesn't like to wear it while he's coaching for whatever reason. So
yeah, we could still hear you screaming Harry's name just fine, even if you're wearing a mask, Caleb. Especially because the stands are empty and you can hear everything now. All right.
You already pointed out like the potential matchup of Columbus and New England with Porter and Arena on the sidelines mic'd up. Oh my God, that would be awful.
Yeah. Oh, also speaking of matchups, since the Crew are playing New England, Nashville. Damn you, Brent, you put the wrong name in my brain. There was a little bit of concern about colors with two yellow teams playing, but it has been confirmed that the Crew will be wearing the banana kits for their game against Nashville. Seems like most people, other than stupid Mark Vucinic, were in favor of the yellow jerseys. I am happy about this. I think in a battle of yellow teams, getting to wear your yellow is good, and it's just a better color. Don't get me wrong, I think the black looks cool as hell, but I think in the playoffs you want your iconic colors. Anybody who wears like white or gray or black in the playoffs voluntarily is well, they're dumb and they're stupid, and I hate them.
Not to interrupt you, but breaking news from just literally within the past 10 minutes, Jeff Carlisle of ESPN says that 2 more Crew players have tested positive this week.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Nice. So we might be forfeiting.
Yeah. Thanks, John. I hate it.
Sorry. Sorry. I knew nobody was going to like to hear that, but I just checked Twitter and saw it, so I couldn't not mention it.
Yeah, I'm glad that this is the kind of breaking news that our podcast can talk about before anyone else. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. There is, like, maybe there's enough space in the playoffs that there could be a delay. I don't know how it affects
I don't think that they have time for that.
They won't delay. If you could reschedule to Tuesday or Wednesday and be okay, I think you could get away with that, but they won't push it past that.
Yeah, well, I think, that's kind of what I'm thinking about is like the Western Conference semis aren't until the 1st and 2nd. So I don't see why the East couldn't play on those same dates. In fact, it's weird.
I guess I'm just not sure, like, if you have enough people out from COVID that you have to forfeit, how is 3 days going to make a difference, guys? Like,
well, if obviously the 2 who just tested positive, I don't see there's any way even pushing it back. But if the 4 initial tests had happened early enough, maybe they can get clear follow-up tests by the time a pushback game would happen.
But if they're positive, they have to overcome the virus first. Which we don't have, like...
Yeah, but we don't know how long they had it. I think they test them every other day, I want to say.
Yeah, they do testing every other day.
But
they had to get 2 positives in a row. So worst case scenario, their first positive came 2 days prior to, like, the announcement.
Yeah, which was Wednesday, I think.
November 25th is this press release on the Crew's website.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Wednesday. So I'm guessing that maybe they first tested over the weekend, which is why I'm surprised that there hasn't been more of a big deal made about the fact that we played New York, because the timeline doesn't really allow for much flexibility between that game and our positive tests.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, 6 players is basically like a quarter of your roster at this point. That's and
I mean, you get
a
18
game-
in a match day roster.
Yeah, it's
so
a
that's
third of your match day.
Yeah. I meant just the overall roster to even have an 18 to choose from.
Yeah.
So apart from, what's his name? Who's Big Mouth, who's loaned out. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and Vito's out. I'm trying to count very fast how many players we have on the active roster. I mean, it's not a ton. So you have to assume with 6 players, pretty much every position has the potential to be affected. We're not 6 deep at forward. We're not 6 deep at goalkeeper. You're going to have to, it's going to hit multiple positions now. And, that's terrible. And I hate it. And I would like to go back in time and make it not be a thing. So if we could do that, that would be great.
We have a full 30-man roster, but like you're saying, we're not really 3 or 4 deep at any position. You got to consider that of that 30-man roster, 4 of those people are goalkeepers, so they can't play anywhere else. So if we're lucky, maybe all 4 of the goalies have it. I don't know. It's definitely going to become problematic.
Yeah, I don't know what so Kempen was loaned out, but the USL season is over. Like, can they bring him back for the playoffs if they need to? I have no idea how any of this shit works. But yes, it's about to be an interesting couple of days. I guess we'll hear more tomorrow. So we might even have to see new formations depending upon how this affects things. Like say, for example, if it hits your back line hard, you might see a 3-5-2. If it hits the guys who are more likely to play the 10 spot, maybe you have 2 forwards and no creator. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably the first real good test of Caleb Porter's coaching abilities.
Yeah. And that this means Nashville is now licking their lips because they're already kind of the kings of the upset, and they're probably a Cinderella kind of team. So this is going to be the best case scenario for them, having to be on the road but playing a team that's going to be limited in their roster selection. Oh boy. All right. Well, thank you, John, for that. I'm gonna throw myself out of the window.
I don't think there's going to be a game, guys. I mean, the fact that it's still spreading around the locker room like this, I don't see how you can confidently say that you've.
Well, yeah, the problem with it, right, is that you can take a test and be negative and just have not had enough of the virus in your system to have tested positive, but then a couple of days later it'll have grown and at that point you will test positive. So I mean, I think you make a good point, Brent. I think it's very likely that we may end up just having to forfeit because obviously it's gone already from 4 to 6. And the potential for more is certainly there. Obviously, they've isolated people, but if they didn't think that those other 2 people had it, then those 2 guys conceivably probably haven't been isolated and still have been participating in practices. So, yeah. It's a weird season. I think we all kind of knew that things like this could happen going in. So,
yeah, that's true. It's just, this is, of course, the worst possible time for a team. The Crew have done pretty well with only having just a handful of cases previously, and it's the worst possible time to have an outbreak. All right. Well, should we move on to our questions of the week, guys, or do we want to, make ourselves feel more terrible for a while?
Why not both, Darby?
That's true. That is very true. These questions, big shout out to everybody who submitted 50-part questions this week related to Thanksgiving dishes. You're the worst. Okay, but so our first user submitted question for this week comes to us from everybody's favorite body part, Frida Penis, who asks, are Mensa's shorts extra long because he's got a long schlong? John, what are your thoughts on Jonathan Mensa's penis?
Yeah, I mean that seems right to me. I mean, didn't I say a week or so ago that how do you think that he flattens the roads when he goes back to Ghana?
Oh, yeah, that's true. I do remember that. Yeah,
I think I've already addressed this.
Yeah, Brent, your thoughts on Mensa's penis?
Yeah, I mean that's got to be the reason for the shorts length, not short length. No, you don't. I mean, you don't want that thing hanging out of the shorts while you're trying to play soccer. So,
yeah, I mean, there's a well-known correlation between shorts length and penis length. Just look at Larry Bird, for example. Larry Bird wore incredibly short shorts, which means that he has a tiny, 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 minuscule penis. And anybody who is a fan of Larry Bird by the transitive property of penises also has a small penis. So if there's, say, any former podcast hosts who are Larry Bird fans, one knows that they have a minuscule penis.
Sounds like somebody's a little bit salty about that COVID explanation on Twitter earlier.
I mean, stating facts about penises is not salty, Brent.
Yeah, that's true. And furthermore, how dare you? Nobody knows what you're referring to, and nobody needs to look at Morgan's feed to understand.
Don't make us mention your weird inverted bucket penis, okay?
Oh. Are we talking about Brent's weird inverted bucket penis now? I mean, I've been holding on to...
I wasn't going to, but, you know.
Oh. Brent, do you want to talk about your penis now? Is this finally the day that we're going to talk about your penis?
I mean,
I've been telling
y'all
you
can
for
do what
years
you
not
want,
to be
like,
shamed, Brent.
For how many years? What?
Just years, plural, no specific amount.
It really sounded like you said 8. Pretty sure there was an 8 in front of there. Y'all can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but...
Yeah. Speaking of 8, I'm going to change the subject because now I'm just getting uncomfortable. A question submitted by Chris Landis. What Thanksgiving dishes are each of the 08 Cup winning players? We're not doing this. If you guys want to pick one dish to represent a 2008 Cup winning player, let's do that.
Okay.
You want to go first, John? Do you have a thing?
I don't have a thing, but I can go. Let's see. Let me think of something very, very quick here. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say that Chad Marshall is just mashed potatoes. Like very, very blah, very bland, very unassuming, very doesn't really draw attention to itself, but just always fucking reliable, always good. Always something you can go to and be like, yeah, that's a good bite of food right there.
Nice. So I'm gonna go with Frankie, and it's specifically from MLS Cup itself. His goal was the icing on the cake, but only communists
you don't serve cake.
I know
that's
not a Thanksgiving thing.
This is where I'm going. There's no cake. There's no icing. So he is the ice cream on the apple pie, and apple pie is a Thanksgiving dessert, and I will fight anybody who says otherwise. Pumpkin pie is trash because pumpkin spice.
This is maybe the dumbest answer you've given all season.
Well,
Derby,
thank you, because I
Frankie
made a lot
Haydick
of
is
dumb
very
statements.
clearly the post-meal line of Coke.
He's the 3-finger glass of bourbon that you have after dealing with your family.
He is the espresso shot to help you get up at 5 a.m. to get the turkey in the oven on time.
That's fair. Okay, Brent, who's your 2008 Thanksgiving meal person?
All right, I'm going to take the very easy, very obvious option off the table. Guillermo Barros-Schelotto is the turkey. He's the main part of the meal. He's the most important thing on the table.
That's true.
I knew you were going to do that, and you're wrong.
Oh, okay. So who's the turkey then?
All right, fight me.
The turkey is a collection of people.
That's not how this question works.
Yeah, the turkey is the substitutes and the bench, because the turkey is not the fucking best part of the meal. It is just
Nope.
it is just the vehicle for which all of the good things, the sides, come together.
The turkey is the centerpiece of the Thanksgiving meal. It is the most important part.
I hate the fact that John has never had a good turkey in his life.
I have had good turkey. I've liked turkey, but let's be real. Everyone is most excited. If you were saying, what are you most excited about on the Thanksgiving table? It's not the turkey. And Guillermo is without question the most exciting thing on that roster.
So what's your most exciting Thanksgiving side then?
For me, it would be the sweet potatoes.
My God, I thought you couldn't have a worse take than saying turkey wasn't the best, and then you went with sweet potatoes as the best, and it's
Kirby,
confirmed.
it's fine. I know that your old flavorless tongue doesn't like good things, so it's fine that you want to just gnaw on the same piece of turkey with your dentures for 45 minutes.
What? Again, it's
I'm
a shame.
just glad you didn't say Guillermo was the cranberry sauce. I might have had to literally fight you if you said that.
The cranberry sauce does not touch my plate.
No, we had an amazing turkey. I pulled it out at exactly 165 degrees. It was moist. It was juicy. It was seasoned wonderfully. Brent, I'm going to go ahead and let you say that Guillermo's the turkey. It's the appropriate answer.
I didn't say he wasn't allowed. I just said he was wrong.
Oh, well, I mean, your face is wrong. Moving on.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. Keith Noss basically asked the same fucking question, except with current players. He gave like a whole list of foods and then says which. Oh, wait, no.
There's not a list of foods there. You did not share the list of foods.
Okay, I'm having a hard time keeping track. So he did the same thing. So once again, current roster and Thanksgiving foods. Who you got, John? Who?
Obviously, the sweetest, most delicious thing on the roster is Josh Williams, and he is very clearly a shot of whipped cream straight into the mouth.
When you say a shot of whipped cream straight to the mouth, that sounds maybe the most sexual of anything I've ever heard on this podcast.
Well, you're welcome for that.
Thanks.
I stand by what I said.
Okay. Brent, match up a current player with a Thanksgiving thing other than a shot of whipped cream to the mouth.
All right. Harrison Awful is the cranberry sauce of the Columbus Crew. At one point, you thought you liked it. It used to be good, but now you're like, why is this even here?
Oh shit, that's really good. Yeah. I'm gonna say that Nagby for me is the stuffing. Stuffing can absolutely make or break a Thanksgiving. Like a good stuffing just complements everything. It makes the entire meal work. But if it's absent or if it's off, then things can go off the rails pretty fucking quickly. So Nordekian gave us basically the same question. I forgot to include it until just now. Same thing, but with Save the Crew leadership members. I have given this no thought whatsoever because I've forgotten about it until now. But I'll go first to mix things up. I'm going to say Andrew King was the mashed potatoes, but without gravy. In basically that he's white and boring. John, Save the Crew leadership. Who's what?
I think it's pretty obvious that Morgan Hughes is green bean casserole because it's offensive and disgusting and you wish it would go away.
Oh my God, I was about to say the same thing.
You know what? A double dipping burn of Morgan is absolutely allowed. So you can say the same thing, Brent. You hate to see it.
You hate to taste it. You hate to
really
hear
do.
it.
You just wish people would leave it the F at home and not even bring it around.
It's very obvious that both Morgan Hughes and green bean casserole are dead. Please just let them rest.
Yeah. Rest in peace, green bean, Morgan Hughes. Actually, green bean casserole is probably a little spicy for Morgan. But
yeah, that cream of mushroom really sets his tongue on fire. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean, this is a dude that at one point said that ranch is too aggressively ranchy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a real thing. All right. Next question comes from us from Leo. I'm sorry, Leo. Gwynn. I don't know how to say your last name. So Leo asks, why not us? And why not now? Brent
Take
Miller?
this one, Traps.
Yeah.
This is COVID.
Right. John, do you have an answer that's not COVID? Because
no, I have heard rumors of a new strain of COVID called COVID 312. It's based out of Chicago.
Yeah.
Beware of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wish I had a different clever answer, but 1000% given what we know today, COVID is the answer to this question. Jeff Ballard asks, how long before Morgan's ex-girlfriend's daughter takes over hosting the podcast? Follow-up question, when will John and Drabby reproduce for the next generation of podcast hosts?
Oh, please, for the love of God, never let that happen.
Like, are we supposed to create a baby together? Or, like,
right.
Are we each supposed to make our own separately?
Yeah, Jeff, I don't know if you know how human reproduction works, but John and I, as much as we love each other, cannot love each other one enough to make a baby together.
No, that will not work, unfortunately.
We've tried. Believe me, we've tried.
Oh, we have.
A lot.
Yeah.
In fact, John is the most vigorous baby boy trier there is in the game, and we've come up empty.
Darby is a respectable power bottom, I will say.
Well, thank you. You know, I've been working on that. As Brent, do you want to jump in here, please, and save us from where we've taken this question?
Yeah, Brent, please go ahead and get impregnated immediately.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good. I'd rather just you guys keep chatting away and taking yourself further down this rat hole.
As far as when Pam's daughter can take over, she can take over now. In fact, if we can get her a cell phone, let's call her up and see if she wants to finish out this episode.
I've seen some of the things that come out of that child's mouth, and it's less offensive than the Kai Kamara crap that comes out of Brent's mouth. So whenever she's ready.
Yeah. We've also heard about what comes out of her diapers, and that's probably better than most of the content we produce, if I'm entirely honest. All right. Final question comes to us from Brian Lanoy, who asks, what is the meaning of this crap? And then there's a screenshot from Extra Time Radio in which they say, quote, fine, Nashville FC are massive. Brent, what the actual fuck, man?
Yeah, so Taylor Twellman tweeted the same thing, and what is his name? Pablo something?
Maher?
Yeah, I think that's him.
Yeah.
I think he also tweeted this. As far as I can tell, it's just supposed to be like a mega troll of us. But man, it seems like Nashville is trying real hard to like literally be us right now.
Yeah. John, what are your thoughts on this thing that happened?
I don't give any of those people enough the credit to have the like brain power to generate a troll of that nature. I think that majority of MLS personalities in media are just completely ignorant of any of the genuine culture that has been created by fans in this league, and so they just pop off with shit that they have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
Oh, to be fair, like I'm not saying that those personalities were trying to troll us, but Nashville has been like saying this for a little while, like the fans of Nashville, and they've been trying to get people to use it.
Well, to be fair, anything would be better than their stupid MLS hashtag. So in that sense, I encourage them to not use that because
what is their hashtag?
It's hashtag everyone N. Like everyone the letter N. Yeah.
Like the letter N for Nashville, but also the
What's it
pun
supposed
of everyone
to mean?
in.
Oh, everyone in.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
See, that's the thing. If you have to explain a hashtag, it's a bad hashtag.
Yeah. Well, they're just like really shitty and subpar in like basically every way. Their color yellow is weird, gross shade. Their logo is a piece of shit. Like, so,
Their blue looks purple.
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Is that not what they say? So,
yeah, you can try and take Massive if you want, but take your stupid fake FC Euro soccer wannabe asses and get the fuck out.
Dude, I made a joke about this on Twitter, and this guy popped in my mentions and was like, well, that's because we were supposed to replace you when you went to Austin. Oops. Like, yeah, that's a great troll, dude, since we won that battle. Really not sure why you think that's like a burn now.
yeah. Like, also, I think Cincinnati was probably supposed to replace us, not you. You're 2 states away.
All right. Let's award some man balls then, because we run out of questions of the week and Thanksgiving dishes to talk about. So, Brent Miller, who are you giving your man balls to this week?
Oh, geez, I was planning on going third.
You can go. I mean, I can.
No, it's all right.
No, let's mute your microphone. Hang on. We can do that. Wait, can I? Shit, I don't know if I can.
You cannot.
Yep. Oh, there it is. Yep, you're muted. Yep. Okay.
Oh, no. Darby has all the power.
Oh, my gosh.
I can't stop him here. We're in his world now.
He unmuted himself, I think, though. It's not that powerful.
Nah.
Okay. All right, Brent, go for it.
Let's see. We'll give one to my mind just went completely blank, as if it hasn't been for this entire show already. You know what? Come back to me, actually.
Okay, that's fair. John, are you ready, or should I?
It's not fair. No, but I can stall for a little bit because there's a follow-up tweet from Jeff Carlisle saying that while there's not been a official statement yet, either from the crew or Nashville or the league, he does acknowledge that there is wiggle room for rescheduling, since the last day of the conference semis is, like you already stated, Darby, the 2nd of December. So maybe a rescheduling would end up taking place. Who knows? And then as far as man balls go, I will give one to let's see. I'll give one to Giassi Zardes for scoring a really beautiful header in that game the other day. And then I will give the other man ball to I don't know. I'll give the other man ball to New England for knocking out Philly for us, so we didn't have to eventually face them, because I didn't want to do that. And I'm not going to give a man ball to Nashville because we're about to play them. But
fair.
But we've beat Philly 3 times this year.
That's true. We've beaten Philly twice this year.
Twice.
But yeah, that is true.
Yeah. And they were both at home. And they were both
which this face-off wouldn't have been. This would have been in Philly. So
yeah. All right. I can go, Brent. Do you still need more time?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm going to give one to Darlington Nagbe for both his goal and just his general play, being one of the better players on the field and passing accuracy and all that stuff we talked about earlier. Congrats and thanks for being you. The second one I'll give to Aloy Room, because he actually had some pretty amazing saves in that game. New York wasn't super dangerous, but the couple of times that they put some shots on frame, he came up with some stops. So,
all right. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nagbe also. He had a great goal. He had good play in a game where everybody else was garbage in passing. He was I think a steadying influence in that context, and that sort of benefit is really key in games like this. My second man ball is going to go to Lucas. He didn't have a game that necessarily showed up on the stat sheet a whole lot. He got a hockey assist on Jossie's goal. He also made the springing pass that made Pedro's little fall down thing possible. It was just one of those games that, like, he was definitely an engine for the team, even if he didn't show up on the stat sheet. So I appreciate what he was doing there. Also, guys, just as a random thing, Jossie had 6 shots in this game, which is quite possibly the most I think he's ever had as a crew player. So no man ball because we don't give away 3 man balls, Brent. You know this. It's the most goals he had. Oh, since
you could make him share it with somebody else if you wanted to.
I'm not gonna. That's the second most shots he's had, following the 7-shot effort against Cincinnati last season. So no man ball, but thanks for taking a lot of shots. We appreciate when you do that. Okay, so now we get the fun part where we preview the next game. So at this point, from as far as we know, it is going to be Sunday at 8 o'clock against Nashville. They were 8-7-8 in the regular season. They finished 7th in the East, but obviously in the playoffs, that means jack shit because they've been tearing things up. It is a home game. There will be no fans in the stands at Maffrey, which is, of course, the right thing to do because Franklin County is a dumpster fire. And at this point, everybody is apparently contagious. So Nashville beat Toronto in overtime coming into here. They have that dumb hashtag, we're wearing yellow. What are you guys looking for in this game, other than the uncertainty of the roster and when the game may happen?
I haven't been able to watch a game in probably almost a month at this point, so I don't really know anything about how they've been doing or strategies or any of that stuff. So I'm just hoping to see some of this game, which, given its late start on a Sunday, is quite likely for me. I'll be at work still for the entirety of it, but we're pretty slow on Sundays, so hopefully I can get it on the TV. Fox Sports Ohio was not working for Spectrum, at least at the bar this week, which is why I wasn't able to turn it on there. So hopefully we can get that on the bar and I'll be able to watch some of it. That's what I'm looking for.
Sure. Brent, what are your thoughts on the game?
Nashville has kind of retained their form as a really tough defensive team, even if they can't score very much. So it'd be really interested to see what the offense can do. After a 3-goal game against Red Bull, we've seen the struggles, but maybe with the rest, of course, man, this is stupid. Like, this is all dependent on the roster that we're able to put forward if we can even play a game. So all these things I'm saying are based on a normal roster, like the typical 11 that you would expect. So with the kind of rest that they've had for the last week, Nashville's playing their 3rd game in 8 days, their 2nd in a row where they've had to travel. And you have the obvious advantage of home team FC and MLS. I know that technically Nashville just won on the road, but I'm not counting that as a home game for Toronto because they were playing in freaking Connecticut. So I think all of those things come down to an advantageous situation for the Columbus Crew, again, assuming a normal lineup.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good point about it not being really a home game for Toronto. They've been living out of a hotel, so they're not really getting the home cooking in the same context. That being said, Nashville did have a lot of chances in that game that they didn't quite finish. They did beat Inter Miami / Fort Lauderdale 3-0, but Miami was missing both Higuaín and Leandro Gonzalez Perez off their roster because of COVID. So, yeah, Nashville's probably had the easiest route so far that they could have. But it's the fucking playoffs, and as literally nearly every game we mentioned shows, anything can happen, especially if our roster is going to be all over the place. With potentially a decimated, maybe decimated is overstating it, but with a reduced roster for Columbus, I actually wouldn't be shocked if both teams kind of set back and we wound up having one of those where it's 0-0 going into overtime because it's just very chess matchy and sort of probing, but neither team trying to be on the front foot very much. But yeah, ultimately we have no fucking idea because who knows what the team's going to look like at that point. All right. Well, before we get into some actual score predictions here, we can recap our prediction results from the last game, wherein I predicted a 2-1 victory against Red Bull, which was a correct score line at one point in the second half. So, I mean, that was a very good prediction, and I'm quite proud of it until both teams went and fucked it up. But if we were doing points, I'd get 5 points. Brent predicted 3-1. Oh, my goodness. So close, Brent. So close. So late in the game. You looked like a fucking genius. And then...
And I'm going to blame Degenerate T-Bone and Steve Sirk and Matt Barnhart and all of you other people that wanted to talk about the poetry of beating New York 3-1 before the game was over.
So much jinxing. If we were doing points, you get 5 points. So good for you. John Zidar.
Yes, Darby. The ultimate prediction boy. Here I am.
Yeah, here you are. You didn't believe in the crew, and you predicted a 2-3 loss.
Yep.
That, as it turns out, was the exact opposite of what happened. So if we were doing points, you would have lost 15 points. Instead, you just have
Which is weird because I was the closest to the correct scoreline.
Except it was exactly wrong.
By getting it exactly correct.
Exactly wrong, John?
I said one team would get 3 goals and one team would get 2 goals, Darby.
Yeah.
And that is what happened.
Yeah, and but except the exact opposite of what you predicted. It's like saying I predict that the San Francisco 49ers are going to win the Super Bowl, and then instead the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl. Chris Blaine, how you doing over there, buddy? Have you recovered yet from your 49ers loss? Okay. Yeah, so you were wrong, but there's no point, so it's okay. Just take the L. Live with your shame.
I mean, there are points, and we're keeping track of this. It's playoff time, Strabs.
Okay, so in playoffs,
you can't just not do things.
Brent said, so I guess you lose 15 points.
Well, I mean, I don't know what Brent's talking about.
Nobody ever does. All right, let's do prediction standings. Hey, I won the regular season. That's all that matters.
Breaking news.
What?
Very kind listener, one of our favorites really, has reminded us that not everybody predicted an equal number of games.
That is true.
Therefore,
that is true.
We had to move to a points per game standings, as did MLS. We had to match them, Traps. And I want you to know that after converting to points per game, it came out in a tie at 4 points per game between John and Darby. Therefore, moving to the tiebreaker, which was correct score predictions, John is our new prediction champion.
Yeah. You'll see in the Zoom chat, Darby, that I have changed my name to the legitimate champion. Thank you very much. It's been there this whole time. Yep.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that. It's weird, though, the prediction score sheet doesn't reflect that. Moving on.
As a cheater,
one
would expect you to reply in this way.
Yeah, the spreadsheet that you have access to and you changed?
No, I haven't changed it since the end of the season. I reverted to a previous version because somebody went in and fucked with it. But,
no, we tabulated for points per game, Traps.
That's not it. If you don't make a prediction,
that math was done.
Yep. Nope, you forfeit. So yeah, sorry. Still the champion. Yeah, still a champion. Yeah.
No, it will not be recognized.
Yeah. Still the champion. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Moving on.
All right.
Score predictions. Score predictions, lads.
You heard it here first, folks. Send the trophy to my house.
Why don't you, stupid revisionist score predictors? Why don't one of you make a prediction here? Brent, you apparently attempted to cheat the most. Since you only had 55 points and you were fucking terrible. So why don't you go ahead and make a score prediction?
In what way was that attempting to cheat?
I mean, you're stupid. And
You've
bad.
made an accusation here. You need to support it with evidence, Donald.
I mean, the score sheet is you have 55 points. Everybody else, except for Morgan, has
Darby,
more than you.
It says it right here in the prediction standings that you are still the wiener, and I am and always have been.
Yeah,
winner,
I watched
so...
you change that. Your name was still next to that line, so I understand what you did.
Well,
Brent,
Darby,
what's your score prediction? Brent?
This is very fascist of you to just ignore the evidence.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Brent, you can go ahead and talk now. John's been muted. What's your score prediction?
Okay, I'm going to ask that you unmute John.
Hey, goddammit, what the fuck?
There we go. He's back.
This is bullshit. I have clicked the raise hand button. I don't know what that means, but I have clicked it. My hand is now up. Please acknowledge my
John,
my
I just lowered your hand for you. You're welcome.
No, I'm raising it again. It's still up there, Darby. As you can see, there's a little blue hand there. Thank you very much.
Oh, boy. Oh, you're right. Okay, Brent, while you're making your prediction, I'm going to go ahead and change John's name for him. There we go. That's better. It says not the champion.
Excuse me. Please don't adjust my name. Thank you very much.
All right, Brent, what's your score prediction?
All right. Assuming that we actually have a game, which I don't think we will. Let me go with a win.
People's names.
Drabs, this is not okay. It's very Trumpian of you. How dare you?
Brent's name is now also not the champion.
Well, as you can see, my name actually is the once and future champion, which implies that I have won this year and will win again in the future.
Yikes. I don't know about that. That's going a little far.
Okay, Brent, whose side are you on here?
Yeah.
Well, I agree that you won it this year, but saying that you're going to win again in the future is, it's a little dicey.
Oh, my God. Make a prediction.
Oh, my God. No. You know what? I'm sticking with a 3-1 score line. That's what we're doing. 3-1 crew.
3-1 crew. All right. I'll go next. We'll give John a chance to redeem himself after seeing what the good prediction boys are.
Okay, I don't want to derail the show here.
Oh no!
Out of a sense.
No, please, John, don't derail this show.
Out of a sense of competitive integrity. Do you guys want to wait to tweet our predictions until tomorrow when we found out who has COVID?
And when we're playing? Yeah, that would probably be a good idea, actually.
Oh, okay. I mean, I think that's fair. Let's give ourselves a better chance with things. We don't have predictions right now, and we will tweet. So that's tomorrow at 1:30 is that press conference. So once we see those, we'll tweet out our score predictions for all of you who are just riveted and sitting on the edge of your seats waiting. You're just gonna have to wait. That's what John. That's what they call a tease in the industry.
Yeah, Darby, I'm a pro. You'll see how I came up with this idea, and not you two.
I mean, it's literally a thing we already did once before.
But I came up with it again just now.
You can't come up with something again. You can only come up with it once. All right, so no score predictions for now. We'll tweet them out, and we'll have the ACES Radio Twitter account retweet them so that everybody can see how badly we do with these once we know who's playing and if we're playing. All right, well, then in that case, that's all we got. Brent, what did I forget or fuck up? And don't say anything about the prediction standings, you son of a bitch.
Fine, I won't, but I just want you to know that I'm winning the playoff prediction standings.
No.
Oh my God, Darby's gonna win no trophies at the end of this year.
We both have 5 points, Brent. So that's not how points work.
Nope. Nope. That's not how I remember it. You have 4.9.
Wait, by what logic do I have 4.9 points?
You lost 0.1 points because you tried to cheat John out of his regular season title.
Oh, my God.
It was a penalty assessed by the league.
When you try to steal a supporter shield, you get docked in the playoffs.
Oh, my God. It's time to mute so many people right now. Oh, Lord. Okay, so nothing else then. I guess this is the part of the podcast where, like, I say a thing and then people whisper or don't whisper or whatever. On the eve of playing in the playoffs further, or maybe not playing in the playoffs further, all of Lord Guillermo's people said,
That'd be some
Wear your mask.
yeah, please don't get COVID.